Growing up in my family, there was one crime that outranked every other crime. And the crime that was the most egregious, most heinous, most depraved crime that a human being could commit was the crime of being an adult living on your own, failing to manage your affairs, and then having to go back home and live with your parents. And the punishment for this crime was you got to be a character in one of my mother's stories. You see the Stevenson boy around the corner? He had a good job, and he fooled around and half showed up, and he lost the job, and now he had to go back home and live with his poor, poor parents. So there I am, 25, and I'm living at home under this special exemption because I came recently after college. And I'm a news aide, and by day I'm working with these high-powered, accomplished reporters, and I'm listening to them, and I'm studying how they interview sources. And I'm gradually accumulating my own portfolio of stories so I can go out on the job market and become a full reporter. And at the end of the day, I leave work feeling good, and then I get in my Subaru, and I head to my parents' home, and just as I get there, the forensic accountants come out, and they're talking about that overdrawn account from 3 weeks ago. They're talking about that bounced check from 3 months ago. They're even talking about that $5 I borrowed from a colleague to go to lunch a few days ago. And I'm dreaming of leaving home, and yet this nightmare comes over me as I'm walking into the house, and the nightmare is I'm sitting across from my mother, and she says, "Robert, you had a good job, and you fooled around, and you didn't manage your affairs, and now you live in here with your poor, poor parents." And so that's when I met Paulina. And I saw her at this company party, and she was in the corner, and she was pretty, and I was looking at her and checking her out, but she was regaling these women with these stories, and they were laughing. And so I introduced myself to her, and eventually I asked her out, and she says, "Well, why don't you join me and some of my friends for drinks after work?" And so the day comes, and I arrive on time. I'm excited. Shoes shine. I just got to do this one thing. And I go over to the machine because I need some money. And I pull my card out, and I stick my card in the machine. And I don't notice there's something red and funky about the machine. It doesn't want to take my card. And I push again, and I push hard, and the machine eats my card. And so I got to walk in to meet Paulina and her friends, and I got to tell her, "You see, I lost my money. See, I was out there, and I didn't notice that the machine was out of order." And so Pauline looks at me, and she cocks her head, and she says, "Hey, girls, listen to this one. He said he lost his card. The machine ate his card." And there's the shrieks of laughter and, cackles. And one of her friends said, "Are you sure the dog didn't eat your card?" And there's like another round of laughter. And my little kid is like, "Oh, shit, Rob, let's run, man. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's go." And I'm terrified, and there's this moment where Paulina sort of looks at me, and time slows down, and she reaches out, and she grabs my hand and squeezes it, and she says, "Make sure you order whatever you want." And I take a breath, and that breath is one of the cleanest, freshest breaths without fear that I've taken in a long, long time. And I'm looking at Paulina, and my brain, my nervous system is checking for resentment, for little anger, and it's running these checks, and it's coming back safe. She's not trying to impress me. She's not doing this because I'm going to pay her back. Later on, she tells me that she could see in my face how terrified I was. And that night, afterwards, she and I go dancing, and we have a good time, and then we come back to her car, and we talk, and I knew something profound had happened, because on the way back home, the forensic auditors were silent. I didn't imagine myself in one of my mother's stories. I knew something special had happened, that I had stepped into this space without fear. And I also knew that none of this would have happened had I not made the mistake of putting my card in the machine. Thank you.